starting out, I'll say test everything. Don't be afraid of testing everything until you find what works. Yes, we have an idea. Yes, we have the startup that we already have a roadmap and everything. But it's always good to test everything to see where the biggest pain point is
Okay.
and focus on that.
You're welcome to Tech Stories and Whatnot. My name is Belejit Anderson, and on Tech Stories and Whatnot, I sit with founders, content marketers, digital marketers, digital nomads, and get to share their story, talk about their strategies. Hopefully, someone out there, another creator, gets inspired to get on with their work. And yeah, our mantra for this channel is to be, do, and commit. And today, I'm so excited to be seated or to have this chat now. It's a virtual chat with Bashir Ibrahim, the founder of Dillali, and we're going to be talking about building a product as a first-time founder. So I think I shall allow the introductions for Mr. Bashir. So thank you very much, Mr. Bashir, for coming on the show. Yeah, just a little intro. Just
Hi.
about you. Yeah, just
Okay.
a little.
Yeah, you can call me Ibrahim. My name is Ibrahim Bashir, and I am the founder of Dillali.com. Yeah, Dillali. It's an income and expense management tool for small and growing businesses in Africa, starting in Nigeria. We launched last year, and currently have users that they can use Dillali for invoices, receipts, capture the expenses, and other things. And my background is I studied coincidentally journalism, broadcast journalism from the University of Lagos many years ago, and I've worked in different industries and different sectors over the years, from telecom to oil and gas to FMCG to tech. And my last job was head of marketing and business development at a tech village in Nigeria.
Okay, that's a lot of experience. I can imagine how that looks like on your, I don't know, would I call it CV now or resume? I can imagine how that looks. That's some good experience. So getting into the details, what inspired you to start Dillali? I was going through the website and I found it interesting how an idea, the whole record management, could be built into an app that could help ease entrepreneurs to keep their records and all. What really inspired you to start Dillali?
Different reasons, but mostly it was a challenge that I faced when I started my first business, because especially when you're starting out, it's very, very difficult to understand or hire people. You can't afford it, and you end up trying to do it yourself. So I tried hiring, not hiring, but I just tried to understand the whole accounting thing, and honestly, it was confusing. Someone that studied English in school. There was no mathematics, so it was hard. So when I started my first business, I had to keep accounts and keep records of everything because I couldn't afford an accountant.
Okay.
So it forced me to learn a lot about finance, so to speak, and bookkeeping. And it was a problem that I faced. I noticed that other people faced it. So when I started talking with other businesses, and what I ran was a web design company. So I got to travel a lot around Nigeria. I got to meet businesses and business owners. So I used to ask them a lot of questions, and I observed that it was a common problem with very small businesses. One person owned businesses, even with large number of employees. So that was really what drove the interest to saying, okay, hey, I think it's something worth solving, because the other tools I had used at the time, they were very, very good. I really loved them, but they didn't serve my local needs in Nigeria, So that was one of the reasons why I said, okay, hey, I think it's worth something.
Okay, so Cool. So from our previous conversation and well, going through Dillali's website, I also found out that you have a co-founder. And I think that trust is an important factor when building a team a team for a product with its early stage, idea stage, or even after launch. So how did you find your co-founder? How did you get to know that this is the right stage, the alignment, the trust? How did you go about all of that process?
It was hard. I initially had what happened was that I had two co-founders, and the how we got to know each other was, one, we already knew each other, we had worked together. He was with us for a short time and decided to leave. The second co-founder, we made a post online on our website, that was angellist.com, saying that we were looking for someone to join our team with a particular skill set. So when we did that, we got a lot of applications from different people. But the thing is that we were looking for someone who was ready to work with us, not because of the money. And that's one big challenge. And this, we were looking for a technical co-founder, someone with technical experience. So I made a very interesting post talking about what we were trying to do, who we were solving the problem for, and we were very, very clear. There's no salary, there's no money.
Okay.
If you want, God, if you don't want, stop. But if you're ready to join this journey of hustling with us, come and join. So that's what happened, and we got about 36 applications from different people in Nigeria and all over the world. And that's how we started doing interviews and talking with them. And then we narrowed down to her, Pooja. That's how we started. Or that's how we found each other. You mentioned something about trust.
Yeah.
You mentioned something about trust. It is a big problem, and it's not easy finding people. So that's why the first stage, there are two levels of trust. One is on your own part, you can trust someone, and the other way around, if the person can trust you. So I think what you need to worry about at the beginning is, how can you show that you are legit? How can you show that you can be trusted? How can you build a relationship from that? And the only way you can do that is by being transparent and very, very honest.
Yeah.
All the time from the get-go. So we didn't promise what we could not do, and we just laid it out as it was. And it's usually never perfect. It's like co-founding is like a relationship. It's like you're meeting a woman for the first time. We just meet the woman, look at her and say, marry me. The woman will look at you and say, are you all right? You don't even know. I don't even know your last name. So close about. You just go and a woman walks up to a guy. I think you're fine. Oh yeah, let's try and get married. It doesn't work that way. It's a relationship that has to, you get to know each other, you get to understand each other, and even after you get married or you come together, there's still challenges. And you need to
walk through.
Understand exactly. So it's the same thing. So that's but really that's the story how we found each other.
Okay, so I think that values here plays a really important role. Your values must align, and then transparency is important. There's been so much talk about transparency and companies being transparent about their policies, about now talking about the whole employer-employee thing now, being transparent basically about, what's your policy, how much do you pay? And so it was really important that you put out that, there's no pay for this thing. It's a collaborative stuff. If you feel like you run with the vision or you flow with the vision of the company, let's go on it. So yeah, transparency is important. Values is important for these two people to align, like you said. And I like the way you made it the analogy of the relationship you talked about, where you meet this person, you start a relationship, and then you get into the relationship and you still have to walk through things. So it really shows the different challenges, the phases of challenges that well, both the founders and then the product has to go through. Talking about product now, I noticed that Dillali recently shipped a feature called Reports that helps entrepreneurs to audit their business performance. So, how did you know that your customers are ready to receive this feature? How do you study customers? Now, if I'm to rephrase it, what's the sign that a brand should take note of to know that my customers are ready for this new feature that I'm about to release, or that they would even care about the feature? So, citing maybe your own instance, how do you know? What was the study like, knowing that my customers need this feature?
That's a tough question, and all of us are still figuring it out. But I'll say this: there's this book called The Lean Startup. I think it's something Reese. I've forgotten his name, and it talks about the feedback loop. Eric Reese, yeah, that's the name. It talks about the feedback loop that, and that's usually mostly used in the ideations at the start of anything, but it can also apply to when working on new product features, which is you sort of talk about the idea, you prototype, you survey, get feedback, you prototype, you get feedback, you make changes, and continue the loop until you get it right. We never get it right. That's it. But we have an idea.
Okay.
So when we were starting the project, we had a roadmap to say, okay, these are some of the things that we need to do. However, some things are connected to the other, while others just come up. So when we were working on the reports feature, initially when we launched the app, we just had the basic things. People could input their information, right? And there was no point in us building a reporting system that will show you nothing, because the only way you can get proper analytics is after you put in data, then it can process it and show you that it makes business sense. So what we did was that we started working. I mean, when we had the initial base product, we continuously engaged with our users, right? We tried to call them, oh, how's the app? What are your challenges? What are you looking for? Things like that. Also, because we come from business backgrounds, by working in different businesses over the years, we looked and said, okay, what does a business owner require? Sometimes it's not everything that your user will give you feedback on. And there's sometimes that you also have to leverage or lean on the experience that you had and challenges that we faced as businesses. So, for example, while I was working, there was a time that we needed to submit a report to managing director of one of the companies we're working on to show what our revenue, what we had made in revenue and other things. And I asked the accounting department to give us that information. The way it was provided was not intuitive enough for me and for us. We just got a 5-page report, and it didn't show me all what we wanted. It just on page 5, paragraph 2, it showed us the company generated X amount, full stop. So beginning page 1 to 4 was just it was accounting statements that were not relevant to that for the business intelligence that we were looking for. So we said, okay, what is it that a business owner would want? So for example, if anyone is selling, let me use simply, if everyone is selling markets, what is it that you want to know? How's my market? Right? What products are selling? How much have I made? Right? Who is buying my thing? Right? What are they buying? When are they buying? How are they paying? Things like that. And we know that these kind of insights will help a business owner in making more informed decisions in terms of what they want to, how they run their business. So we saw it as a natural progression that for any business to understand, they need to have insights about what they do. And it's also part of our, what I would like to call financial literacy, or education process, because sometimes people are just buying and selling, right? They don't know. They have an idea, but these kind of insights help you in sort of making that decision better. So that was why we said, okay, people have been using this app for more than 6 months. What next? What is the logical step? The logical step is to start providing that kind of deeper analytics. So it's a combination of both feedback from our users as well as the experiences that we have along with the roadmap that we had set for product development.
Okay, so it's interesting, especially when you said you're not going to get your customers are not going to give you every insight. You won't get every feedback from your customers. So you have to study the journey itself, know your roadmap, and then know, okay, what do I think? What's the problem that my customers are facing? Because sometimes your customers actually have an issue, or some people may actually have an issue and not know that they have an issue. So maybe the feature that you get to ship now tells them, oh, actually, I have this problem. You just click that, oh, I have this problem, and then this could be my solution. So I like that you actually stated that out, that you actually have to, it's a continuous process where you're studying both the product, the journey, and then also getting feedback. Like you said, the feedback loop. Yeah, so that's cool. So the next question is challenges now. I know that no product stays the same. The challenges you faced pre-launch is going to be different from the challenges you face after the launch of the product, and even as the product progresses in its journey. So what challenges would you maybe tell an aspiring founder to look out for pre-launch, after launch, and maybe you could also cite your own example. What are those peculiar challenges and maybe how to overcome them? Yeah.
I think each startup and each industry environment, timing, the challenges are all different. So, for example, if you had started your startup, let's say in 2020, then you'll have faced the COVID challenge. Nobody had a solution to that. But I think the most important thing is just, I think, if I'm starting out and I'm advising anyone starting, or I'm advising me when starting out, I think some of the things that I would think about is how nimble you have to be and agile in terms of being able to adapt to changes in the environment. That's one. You have to be quick in terms of decision making, and really, rather than, I think most of the time we spend so much time trying to build rather than validating and even understanding what the challenges are. We always are looking for a perfect solution to start with, and usually that is not the case. You find out that looking back, we started with a very crappy product, in quotes, and it has evolved because it's continuous changes. So at every stage, there is a challenge. At the beginning stage, I think what is most important is to really focus on validation and trying to reach as quickly as possible product market fit. So starting out, I'll say test everything. Don't be afraid of testing everything until you find what works. Yes, we have an idea. Yes, we have a startup that we already have a roadmap and everything, but it's always good to test everything to see where the biggest pain point is.
Okay.
And focus on that. Number two is don't be afraid of pivoting. So an example is that we were in a program with some other startups in 2020-21, and the guys came in with one lovely idea about doing some things with sustainability and electronic payments and some very interesting stuff. And they liked the idea. Those are the founders. Four of them, they liked the idea. They started. When they got into this feedback loop, they said, okay, let's go and test the idea. They tested it and realized that the only people that liked the idea was them. Everyone around them said, this stuff doesn't make sense to me. I don't need it. So they went back. They tried another idea. They tried. in the space of 6 months, they pivoted 4 times, right? All of us, but look here, there's every other week they'll come with a new idea of their thing. They kept refining, and we were laughing at them. Look at these guys. Yeah, guess what? They found something that works,
Okay.
and surprisingly, they're the ones that are generating the most income today out of 10 of us from the group. So don't be afraid of pivoting or trying, and that's the beauty of trying different things, because you may think you have a solution, but it's not what the market needs at the time, place, and space. So being able to pivot is very important. Then at the very early stage, we got this advice, and I'm happy that we took it. As founders, I think it's very important that you go through everything in the business. So for example, you may say you're bad at marketing, but I think you should take in efforts to try to do the marketing. Let's say you're doing Facebook ads, try and create the Facebook ads. If you're doing posts to social media, try and make those social media ads. If you're writing content, try and write the content, because until you walk in that person's shoes, you will not understand what it takes, and you won't even know who to hire to do the job, because you don't understand it. But because you've been through it, you understand everything. You know how long it takes to do something, so you can empathize, because not even empathize, you've been through it, you've experienced it. So you know the right person that fits, and if the person is not the right fit, you also know, because you've been through that entire process and you know what it takes.
Okay, cool. I say it's okay. It does make sense to validate, test everything, like you said. And I'm tempted to ask, did Dillali have the whole validation issue? How did you know you had attained product market fit?
We don't know. That's the thing. We've reached somewhere, right?
Okay.
And there are different definitions of product market fit. I think product market fit is when like a friend of mine said to me a few weeks ago, he said product market fit is when you have your customer support always answering calls, because there's too much demand and people are always asking for stuff. When you have that, you're doing less building and more answering and inquiries, that people are like asking, and your lines you can't meet up with the scale at which you need to ramp up, then you've somewhat reached. That's his own definition of product market fit, and I like that definition, because I never understood what everyone would say product market fit. You may have 50,000 users, but you may not be at product market fit. How frequent do they use the product? How is it solving their problem? Is it a Panadol or a vitamin problem? You have a Panadol problem, so you have a headache, you want to take Panadol right now, you want to take a painkiller immediately. If you have a vitamin, it's something that even if you don't take it, like, no problem, but it's long term. So for us, I think we've reached a stage where we have better validation. We are close to product market fit, and the next couple of months will probably 2-3 months will determine product market fit for us.
Okay, it's cool. I just like the sincerity. We don't know, and that just threw me off. So we can talk about a great product at any stage without the team. So I want to know how you're handling, especially as a startup, how you're handling hiring the right fit. We hear a lot of fit. Is the company fit for me? Or is this intended employee fit for me? So how are you handling hiring, managing the team you already have, and all of that? Just quickly before we go.
It's probably one of the most difficult things when it comes to running a business. I think people are the most unpredictable and most difficult factor of production. My dad used to tell me that when I was a kid. I didn't understand it until I started working. It's very, 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 very hard, and we're still learning how to do that. So, and at each stage of a startup's journey or any business's journey, you find out that you need a certain kind of people or kind of person to work with you at that stage. So at the stage where we are at, we don't even have roles properly defined. So everyone is doing, we have loosely defined roles. So if you're in marketing, we don't expect you to be programmer, right? But in marketing, we do different things. We probably have, we have a designer, we have a marketing manager. We used to have a community manager, and then we branched out into having a product marketing person. So we tested everything to see what worked, So rather than, and again, like I said, at the very early stage, we started looking for ways of connecting with people. First, we ran one of the most interesting places I've learned to hire is on Twitter. I think you find very good resources. We found excellent product designers on Twitter in Nigeria because they share their portfolio, you see their work, you send messages to them to say, okay, hi, I've seen your work. There's a job opening, apply here, and let the selection process go through. One of the other things that we do for hiring is that we try and get experts who have experience in that particular field to come in to sit on what we call an interview panel, who will ask very pragmatic questions. We don't look at your CV to ask what school you finished from. Quite frankly, we don't care. Whether you went to school or not, we don't care. What we care about is, can you do the work? One, and it's the person culturally, in terms of, can the person work in this environment that we're trying to create, where the culture is like this. So you need to have people that can complement each other and work, also compete with each other, but not compete to fight, but compete for, to move things forward. So those are the kind of people, and you need people that are self-starters, fast learners, and, very good at failing fast and failing forward. So these are the things that we look for when, and the different strategies that we adopt when trying to hire people. There are certain questions that we ask and we look for. So like I said, until we see the answers to those questions, those are we ask sometimes 3-4 questions. Those are the most important things before we even look at your CV or your resume. After that, if the person answers the questions, it's very pragmatic. Or how will you do this? What is this? What is that? By the time we see the answers, then maybe that. Then after that, we'll look at the resume. So this person, okay, and we now do interviews and pick up from there. But to be honest, it's very, very difficult. What I can say is that, again, it may be founder bias, but and maybe coming from a position of privilege. So I don't mean to offend anyone here, but the key thing is hire fast and make decisions fast. If the person is not right fit, you have to let them very, very quickly, because it's painful to hear, but if you want to really build something, it requires having the right people at the right time, and sometimes several sacrifices have to be made to reach that point.
Okay, that's a candid one, actually. When you first, I think I picked out we tried building relationships with people. It's important that we look at not just the hiring process as, come do this work and pay you money. Even in the workspace, this building of relationships. I like that you stated that out. You try to build relationships with people. Then it's a tough one for founders or employers now, when you have to decision making isn't a joke. So there are some tough decisions you have to make, especially when you said if they're not the right fit, you have to let go and then hire fast, but then make decisions quick. So thank you very much for joining me, talking about building a product as a first-time founder, sharing the story of Dillali. I can actually see the Dillali t-shirt and I like it. So if you're a founder watching this, or maybe you just happen to stumble on this and it piques your interest, I'll say you should check out Dillali's website. I'm going to drop the link in the description box. And yes, I'm glad that you were able to make it despite your other shadows. Thank you very much. And yeah, hope to see you next time. Talk to you next time. Yeah, bye.
Sure. Thank you very much, Bye.
That was quite an interesting one with Mr. Bashir Ibrahim from Dillali, and I'm sure you enjoyed the conversation. So if you did, like I said, if you're an aspiring founder, or this topic just piqued your interest and you're here, please subscribe to this channel, like the video, share with your family and friends, and yeah, turn on your notification button so that anytime I publish a new content, you'll be aware of it. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram. I'm going to drop all of the links, including the link to Dillali if you want to check it out. And if you also would love me to talk about anything, a topic that interests you concerning founding a product or content marketing, just drop the question in the comment box and I'm going to attend to it. Do have a lovely day. Bye.